Another really amazing kettlebell movement to throw into your workouts at home especially is the goblet squat. Not only does it help you with your hip mobility, it also is a major compound movement that really gets into the glutes and sets you up for all kinds of squats and real life movements. Let's see what it looks like. Now let's break down the movement. Start with your feet grounding into the floor. You really want to grip the floor with your feet. I often train without shoes on because, especially when I'm working with kettlebells, because it really helps me ground. And your feet are so connected to your glutes, and you definitely need to use your glutes in a goblet squat. So the first thing I'm going to do is set my stance a little bit wider than my hip distance. One would say it's as wide as my shoulders, right? So now I'm kind of creating a stacking stance. This is where I end up. On my lowest point, I'm going to drop my hips all the way down below my knees. Now, I understand that some people may not have the hip mobility to get there. So you're going to go as far as you're comfortable. A really good way to practice is to have a low bench that you can just work on tapping and standing up, tapping and standing up. And then maybe from that bench, it's not as low, you can find something else that's a little bit lower, like a med ball, to tap and stand up and tap and stand up. Then, therefore, over time, you can build some hip mobility and get lower and lower to get the most out of your goblet squat. Goblet squats themselves help you with mobility by forcing you to go down and actively engage your glutes at a lower stance. Here's what that looks like. When I'm down here, I have to drive my knees out in order to press up. And I'm going to squeeze my core and my glutes as I stand. A really good way to train is to use a tool like a mini band. To get used to creating resistance all the way down and all the way up is by using a mini loop. These are pretty cheap. They're only a couple bucks and you can order them off of Amazon. And what you do is put them around your knees. And all I'm going to do is create resistance all the way up and all the way down. So I'm going to find my stance, which is about my shoulder distance wide. I'm going to press out with my knees all the way down and all the way back up. Set my core, arms out, sit down, create tension, come back up and create tension. You can repeat that series, just finding that resistance all the way up and all the way down a couple times a day, maybe 10 to 15 reps. And it'll get you set up for your goblet squat. In order to set up your goblet squat itself, after I ground through my feet, I'm going to find my core. Lots of compression is created in a goblet squat in your core. So you're going to, what I'm doing is exhaling my air and forcing my abs to contract, but not just in the front. I'm forcing it all the way around my body, my torso. It's almost like a corset is tightening up around my torso every time I exhale. Every time I envision that, I imagine everything pulling together, and therefore I'm more contracted and more capable of keeping the contraction for a longer period of time, increasing my time under tension. Here's what I would do next. I'm going to bring my kettlebell close to me, in between my legs, in between my feet, and then I'm going to clean it up. The horns are going to be facing up. I've seen people goblet squat with the goblet up, but a true kettlebell goblet squat is with horns up. And that's because you want to pull the horns apart, creating a resistance here. And therefore, you're engaging your lats and your core even deeper, which allows you to get more out of the movement. Bottoms up is not wrong. It's just not as engaging. So to get the most bang out of your buck, you're going to do the most engaging thing with your movement, and this is what it is. I'm going to get down low. I'm going to pull it up, and drop my elbows underneath. And from here, I'm going to grip the floor, push my hips back, come all the way down as much as I can go without disengaging. Did you see the difference? This is engaged, this is unengaged. So I'm going to keep my engagement, and from here, I'm going to change the momentum, pressing my knees out, pushing up, and then forcing my hips to stack on top of my knees and my ankles at the top. So exhale, sit your hips back, sit all the way down, press into the floor as you stand up and squeeze your glutes at the top. That is the full goblet squats. Now, what are the benefits of a goblet squat? We talked about a few already. I really feel strongly that a goblet squat allows you to get deeper into your squat no matter what you're doing, whether it's sitting like this on a normal basis or being in a crouched position or even with a barbell on your back. It allows your hips to drop below your knees, and keep contraction, which is a really difficult thing for us to do because in real life, mostly sitting on chairs with our glutes inactive, and when we don't use it, we lose it, right? I would encourage you to incorporate the goblet squat into your routine every day if you could, and slowly build strength over time. It's a total body movement, it's a compound movement, it's a movement that enables you to perform other movements really well, not just from a strength and conditioning stance, but also from a mobility stance. Give it a try and let me know how it goes.